Tigers with our three sports-loving ladies, Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Well, it's a good day to work in sports here on this Big Chief Tire Monday on 1010XL. Bryson DeChambeau wins his second U.S. Open. I have watched more college baseball, I feel like, than I've ever watched, even though I know Florida's been in it 9 times under Kevin O'Sullivan. It's still every single game just locks me, or I lock into it, and it just grips me. And, of course, you've got the fact that there's always Jaguars football to talk about as well. How was everyone's Father's Day?
Good.
Yeah, mine was good. I have had such a good weekend that I got a little cold, I think. So that's a fun start to a Monday. But, Father's Day was great. Weather was beautiful all weekend, which last week in the beginning when I was looking, it was like rain on Saturday. So I think there was like one cloud in the sky on Saturday. So that was nice. But, yes, I had a fantastic weekend.
Yeah, while Lauren was locked in on college baseball, and I did watch some of the Knowles. Did not stay up for the Gators. God bless you if you did. Yeah, Lauren, you actually stayed up for it?
So I fell asleep early, and then my body literally woke me up knowing that the game was on, and then I had to watch.
That's some freaky stuff there. Hey, listen, you know what? Your body compelled you to stay up until
11 o'clock
until
Eastern.
2 a.m. to watch a college baseball game.
It was so dramatic too.
Right,
oh my gosh.
Exactly. That ended in heartbreaking fashion for the Gators, and so both teams now facing essentially lose and you're done. With the Gators playing
Win or go home.
The Gators playing at 2 o'clock today and the Knowles winning yesterday, so they will play tomorrow, which Allison Posey in Tallahassee, longtime sports anchor reporter, will be joining us at 12:30 to discuss the Knowles. But no, as much as I watched a little bit and kind of popped in and out and certainly watched those games, including Florida State's collapse on Friday,
some Florida State fans would say they did not collapse, even though they did.
Right.
They want to blame it all on the umpire, the third
was
base
it a
umpire.
strike? Was it
was
not?
a strike.
Right.
I understand. However, to your point,
It was 9-4.
feel free to play better defense.
Yeah.
And speaking of collapses, the best thing I saw in sports this weekend,
goodness.
did Rory McIlroy lose the U.S. Open? Did Bryson DeChambeau win the U.S. Open? And I think that's where we begin our conversation today here on Helmets and Heels. Not just collapses, but in terms of the actual perception of this event. Yes, while certainly we were watching college baseball, watching Major League Baseball, I could not stop watching the U.S. Open yesterday, and that was despite Bryson DeChambeau leading most of the way, a guy who, up until, probably the last 2 years, was perhaps the most hated in all of golf, if not one of the more villainous characters in all of sports. What the heck has happened over the last 2 years?
YouTube, right, Taylor?
Yeah, YouTube. And I think that the villain thing didn't work for Bryson, and he realized that because it almost like he was leaning into that pretty heavily for a while, where he wanted to be that guy, and a lot of it was like when it was like him versus Brooks Koepka, that whole thing going on. And then obviously Liv happened, so that kind of even made him more a villain to a lot of people. And he realized it's not working. Like that, it wasn't helping his golf game. It wasn't helping people like him outside of the just like on the course. And so it flipped, and this YouTube channel, obviously having your own, being able to get your personality out there and really let people see like behind the scenes of who you are. That's why people like the live stream here, because they like to see beyond just listening or watching you, like for example, him and just golfing on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's been a wild flip. Mia, you texted us yesterday, and I was like, so funny. I literally was just like in my car talking to myself, because I do that, also probably why I lose my voice all the time. But I was in the car like kind of practicing my monologue for my gym of the week this week, right when you texted that. And the whole thing was about how Bryson's like completely flipped everyone's perception.
It's a 180.
Yeah.
It would be. Is there another character in sports outside of the one that popped in my brain was Alex Rodriguez, who was hated, was loved, hated. He kind of went back and forth, snip, snap, snip, snap. I think
there's 2 golfers that I can answer your question.
Yeah? Who would you say?
Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. Everyone for the longest time loved Phil. They wanted him to win.
Right.
Tiger was more of, not necessarily a villain, but he was the young buck coming up, right? That won everything. And then people decided that Tiger Woods, after the whole incident with his ex-wife and all those things, then he got hurt, and I feel like even before the car accident, people loved Tiger. Once he had the back injury, he became a sympathetic figure, and people all of a sudden were
The
like,
nostalgia when he
yeah,
won in 2019.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods is this great guy, and look, he's got the kids that he, now hangs out with Charlie on the golf
But
course.
do you
and things
think
like that.
people-
But Mickelson went the
right.
opposite way, especially because of Liv.
Well, I was about to say, we see more of that. We see more of the flip the opposite way, where
Right.
people love the person and then you end up disliking them. Aaron Rodgers, I think, is one of those for a lot of people. I personally just have always, but a lot of people loved Aaron Rodgers for a long time and recently had the
Do
flip.
you think people actually actively rooted against Tiger from 2009 to 2019?
Yes.
I think-
Really?
Yes.
Because I don't think so.
I think the surrounding, maybe like the diehard golf people were just like, we love Tiger because he's an incredible golfer. But the more casual watchers or the ones that were just kind of like, I like the game of golf as a whole and he's not a very good person right now, that made people flip a little bit on him.
But I feel like people were still, even if they were hate watching, they were still turning on their
They were
TV
watching, yeah.
if
Watching,
Tiger
of
was
course.
in.
Yeah.
Right.
But
and
yes, rooting against. I was rooting against Bryson DeChambeau very loudly yesterday, rooting for Rory McIlroy. And I found it hilarious, all the people that were chanting USA. Do they not realize that all these golfers live in the United States of America now? Like, I understand they weren't born here. They live in Jupiter. They live in here in Ponte Vedra. They live in St. Simons. Like, I just found that to be one of the funnier things.
Yeah, that was certainly a choice, especially when you consider the fact that Bryson left to go to a Saudi-funded league in the Live.
That was the other
Here's
reason
the
I was
thing, though, and
laughing.
Dan and Jeff made a great point this morning. When it comes to Live and the excuse, because I'm going to call it an excuse, why all these golfers left, and it was to grow the game, to make the game more international, to reach more fans, and, which of course, pairing it with Bryson's performance yesterday, both on and off the course, is kind of funny because Liv was supposed to be this golf league where it wasn't as stuffy. They wear shorts. They have fun. They rush the green if somebody wins, and Greg Norman wants chaos and the fans involved and music playing. And what's interesting is that the only golfer on that tour who appears to actually be trying to grow the game and not just take the bag, take the money, and run and maybe play a tournament or two every 2 months is Bryson.
Yeah.
And Scott Van Pelt made the point last night on SportsCenter, and I can't wait to hear what the text line Design My Lifetime Enclosures and the MyBookie Digital Studio have to say about this. You could make the argument that no one, and this is from Scott Van Pelt, who, mind you, used to work at the Golf Channel, now, of course, one of the most revered folks over at ESPN. Van Pelt said you could make the argument that no one in the world is playing better golf than Bryson DeChambeau. To which the obvious response is
Scheffler?
correct.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Bryson has now finished T6 at one major, second at another major, and won the third. The problem is that we're not going to see him on the tour next week at the Travelers Championship. And that is an inherent problem, at least surface level, because that doesn't, quote-unquote, grow the game. But then he turns to YouTube, and he's going to be battling with somebody on Tuesday, he said in his post-round interview. Then he's got some, what is it, like another sticks, like I can beat you with this this club set from Amazon that I bought for $50 or whatever it is. Or he's trying to break 50 with somebody on Tuesday. And so it's so fascinating because the Greg Norman line of we're going to zig while everyone else is zagging, let's be real. I mean, Dustin Johnson said it in full swing. You'd be dumb to not want to take more money to work less. And that is quite literally what he and many other golfers did. But not Bryson. He's taken this free time and he's tapped into, akin to Tiger, a area of the world or a fan base, if you may, that didn't previously perhaps have the interest in golf that they do now.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and I think that a part of it too, because a couple months ago when we were talking about, there was all the chatter around, okay, are these live golf players not going to be able to play up to the standard they have the last few years because they're not playing on a regular basis, because it's a little more relaxed.
Yeah, they
And
only
it's
played 3 rounds.
Yeah, and it's clearly hurt some people. Phil Mickelson, I feel like has been terrible. John Rahm, I know it's a lot of injury based, but still he like fell off the face of the planet. What it feels like, but maybe someone like Bryson DeChambeau needed that because it did turn so serious and aggressive all the time, and he needed to find that like fun in golf again, and it looked like it helped him.
Yeah, the fact that he was able to maintain his composure yesterday when Rory started to fall apart, and I think you had too in Bryson's head. He said post round that he came so close and there was heartbreak for him at the PGA, so he knew what that felt like. Rory McIlroy, that's the crazy part. He knows what it feels like. He hasn't won a major since the PGA in 2014. He's come so close so many times. I thought for sure those two putts, 16 and 18, he was going to make. And today we would be talking about redemption for Rory.
Did we think that his wife and Poppy were going to run onto the course if he won? Because I was already, there were two scenarios in my head as they're coming down the stretch. This is before the bogey on 16. And I said to myself, either A, we're going to have Erica and Poppy run onto the course and, you know, it's going to be, hey, Rory, you're better when you're not divorced. Like, here you are, this moment of redemption for him on Father's Day. Or, and I texted a couple friends and I said this as much too, we are going to have Bryson making his case why he should be written in for president in November's election, and that is what we got. I knew we were going to have a Payne Stewart shout-out, obviously, because that was his idol growing up. Of course, Payne Stewart, infamously, as was mentioned about 18 times in the broadcast yesterday, won Pinehurst number 2. He flashes the pin in the back of his hat. He puts the beret on.
Did you watch the piece that they did with his son, Payne Stewart's son?
Yeah.
Were you? Oh my gosh, Taylor, you would have been
sad?
Yes,
Oh
you would have been
gosh.
sobbing. So Payne Stewart, for people who don't know, his statue was there. To your point with the beret, and Bryson used to always wear a beret, and Payne was Bryson's inspiration. What some people had forgotten about was the fact that he wins that U.S. Open at Pinehurst number 2 in 1999, and 4 months later is killed in a plane crash.
Oh.
So that's
I didn't realize it was that close.
and his son was 10 years old. His daughter was 13 years old. So you have then they went through. Aaron is his son's name. His life now with his little boys and how much he tries to spend as much time with them as he can because he knows what it's like to lose your
them
dad at
suddenly,
such a
yeah.
young age and certainly suddenly. And of course, for someone like me who is already afraid of flying every time they did talk about
They're
the
like,
plane
"Here,
crash,
Lauren, here's this."
right? I'm over here like shaking, but. Moreover, it was a really, really sweet, touching thing. And even Mike Tirico, Mia, since you were watching, you saw, he said, like, I have to collect myself after that story, that piece, because, these are real emotions. And so back to Bryson, I do think that the Payne Stewart legacy helped fuel him.
So that's the thing. And that is our big overarching question, which 641-1010 is the number to get in on the conversation, or you can hit up the MyBookie Digital Studio chat line. Do we believe Bryson, in the span of 2 years, has become genuine and you actually found yourself rooting for him?
So
Lauren's
like I
answer is no.
Yeah, I wasn't rooting for him, but the answer to the first part of the question.
Because you believe this whole Payne Stewart thing, like, this is genuine, this is who he is.
Yeah, and I think he's matured a lot. I'm not rooting for him because I still think at the end of the day he made a terrible decision, and that is taking Saudi Arabian-based money for Live Golf. If he was not a Live golfer, I 100% would have been rooting for him.
So you would, because here's the thing, is when he was on the tour, people couldn't stand the guy.
Right.
And
so I think he has learned from his ways. I think
do we think that's because, by
his
the way,
personality's changed?
Right. And by the way, speaking of losing your father, he lost his father 2 years ago, which I was very happy that at the very least he acknowledged that first before he got into his monologue about his affection for Payne Stewart, a man who, yes, 525 on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Bryson was 6 years old when Payne Stewart passed away. I'm not really sure where the origin story for that affection began, but I was glad he at the very least referenced his father before he referenced a man he never met.
Yeah.
But again, why was he hated? He was hated because he was the quote-unquote mad scientist. He took the game too seriously. He was so bogged down by numbers. Oh, and because he was so bogged down by numbers, he added about 100 pounds of weight because it was this great science experiment to see if he could drive the ball longer. And now here we are. I just want to know, was it simply he made a YouTube channel, started teaching a niche group of folks who may not be interested in golf to appreciate golf or to at least find it entertaining, and here we are? Like, that's all it took for suddenly a guy who, well, yes, he matured, maybe he's more genuine. You could be genuine and people still don't like you. They still don't root for you.
But it's also, to me, Taylor, because Koepka was in every major and basically didn't win other tournaments, but if he started a major, he was winning, right? And so he was at the forefront of everyone's mind.
Yeah.
And those were the two quote-unquote enemies. Well, once Koepka joined Liv and really basically became a guy that we don't watch very often, I think then their hate for DeChambeau was lessened too, because he was neither of them really were in the public eye as much.
Yeah, and I've said this before. I was always one of the ones that didn't really hate DeChambeau. I kind of liked it, and I liked that he was adding like flavor to the golf world. Honestly, it was more so to me the little highlights after certain events made him seem more like a villain than I think he actually was. Like bringing out and his little tools to like measure things, all the little quirky weird things he was doing. And then yes, he like bulked up so big and was just like drilling the golf ball, and all those things were highlighting this part of the golf world, but no one really, I think, knew who Bryson actually was. They just figured like he's just weird and quirky and is too aggressive sometimes. And I think that because of the Brooks situation, that did make that seem like, oh, here's these two villains in the golf world, when in reality maybe it was Brooks, and it highlighted DeChambeau in like these weird ways.
And people get jealous. We've talked about this when it comes to Caitlin Clark. We could talk about this with other athletes. People are jealous because Bryson DeChambeau at some point in time was able to do something that no one else was, and that was outdrive them. And you saw yesterday, what was his average with his driver? Like 379 yards or something ridiculous, like insane.
Which I'm glad you brought that up, because we actually had one of our Heeligans already referenced Lauren. Doesn't understand, thank you 860, I don't understand 1010XL's love affair with Scotty Scheffler, but hopefully it's time to give Bryson his due. Even though he isn't allowed to play in every event, I think he is the top player in the world, certainly the most exciting and fun to watch. Kind of like Caitlin Clark. Can't wait for you guys to discuss the Fever and Sky drama. We will get to that in the 1 o'clock hour. Don't worry, 860.
I don't think 1010XL has a love affair with Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler has made more money this year and last year than any other golfer in the history.
He also made 4 birdies over 4 days this weekend. So
yeah, it wasn't his weekend. That's fine.
How does this look for Rory, the ending of that, like the collapse, but then also speeding off in the car? And like that's something we never saw from him ever.
Because he's supposed to be this genuine beacon of light in the game of golf. And instead you have Bryson sitting, instead you have Bryson, who, yes, went to the quote-unquote enemy, sitting on the green saying, I want all of you fans to come touch this trophy. And apparently, I saw No Laying Up posted it, like he did end up going out to a group of fans and they all touched the trophy. And again, it comes
like
down—
a Stanley Cup.
Correct. It comes down to your perception, because on the surface, if you take out whatever disdain so many folks have for Bryson once upon a time, if you hear someone who takes a sport that, historically speaking, is regarded as uppity, snooty, elitist,
stuffy,
and he says, I want everyone to be involved with the game. You all are a part of this. You cheer me on. I reference you. I acknowledge you.
He apologized to fans at one point when he didn't pull out his driver.
By the way, Matt Every did a great job on the drill this morning explaining why Bryson finished his round before Pavone. It was actually because if Pavone had gone first, that would have given Bryson the lie, and that's just not good sportsmanship. And credit to Bryson that he did that, because again, I'm not so sure. Perhaps it's immaturity, perhaps it's this new perspective that he would have done that 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah. And so again, it's an overarching narrative that we'll get into throughout the course of today's program regarding, do you suddenly like Bryson? And again, 641-1010, the number to reach us at. But also, to Taylor's point, what happens to the king, Rory McIlroy? Look, I'm not saying he's the best golfer in the world or he's the most, prolific, but he certainly is the most political when it comes to the last 2 to 3 years in the state of golf, and who's been most involved in the PGA Tour versus LIV, incorporating LIV. Who's been the one to say, I am here to lead golf into this next generation? And that's the same guy that went speeding off after bogeying 2 2-foot putt and 1 4-foot putt in 2 of the last 3 holes.
I saw, too, a clip where someone was like, for people who aren't golf fans, here's an explanation in football terms of the Rory collapse at the end, and they had the Miami-Georgia Tech going for it on the 3rd and 10. And I was like, that is a good conversation, actually. Like, what is the comparison in the football world of how Rory collapsed at the end?
Chargers, Jaguars?
Yeah, honestly.
I would say, as far as bringing it locally, that's the first one that I can think of. You had a, 27-point lead if you're the Chargers, and then, the Jags come storming back. The other quarterback had thrown 4 interceptions. By the way, this is how our golfers finished. Taylor had Xander Schauffele. He came in at 1 under. Ludwig Oberg was Mia's guy, who I thought at some point he was going to win the golf tournament. Yeah,
so listen, he's 24.
He's young. It wasn't his time yet. He finished 1 over. RJ's guy, Colin Morikawa, finished 2 over. So we have to figure out what we're doing as far as the losing portion of this. And then my guy, Hideki Matsuyama, came in at 2 under. So I ended up with the best. But if we're really focusing on who loses, then it doesn't really matter who wins. You just don't want to lose.
On Sunday when I looked, Schauffele was in last of those 4, and I was like, I knew I didn't want him. And then I checked later. I was
you
like,
were excited when I didn't take him.
I wanted Ludwig so bad, and the whole time I was like, I knew it. And yesterday I was like, oh, thank you.
And you knew better than to pick Victor Hovland. And I told you, I read
over.
Kyle Porter, who does a great job for CBS Sports, who covers golf. He said the 1-star do not pick for this golf course would be Victor Hovland. So, and he was actually the one who also recommended taking Hideki Matsuyama. So that's where I got that from. But yeah, it was fun to follow our golfers as, stealing that a little bit from Loser Monday from the Frangie Show.
But even independent of that, like there's so many times because you have stakes involved.
Sure.
Visit my bookie whenever you guys want to do that. But this was different. Like, this was beyond that. And again, I just can't, to put a bow on this conversation, like, I just can't get over that Bryson DeChambeau, a guy who I know raised my hand, I couldn't stand 2-3 years ago. I was captivated. And yes, part of it was the back and forth with Rory down the stretch, the fact that we were watching Rory collapse before our very eyes. But again, like, I watched the entire post-round, post-tournament celebration with Bryson, and I just couldn't look away. And part of it, I think, was because he's also kind of become a meme. Like I said, I will repeat it. I do believe he's going to get write-in votes in November because I think that he has, like, adopted this, like, I am, not presidential per se, but I am this man of the people vibe that people vibe with. And again,
Please don't write his name in.
I
for the
can't.
election.
I can't.
Please don't.
I just can't believe it. Like, and
that's wasting a vote.
It's I don't know. But honestly though, like, it's just, I've never seen, and we just threw out a couple, but like, I've never seen a 180 quite like this
in this direction. And that's what someone real quick on the text line was like, Russell throwing from the 1-yard line instead of them running the ball. They're like, that's what Rory did. Yeah, that's a good one.
That is a good one for sure. All right, we're going to get it to the College World Series when we come back. Allison Posey is going to join us. Of course, FSU baseball 1-1 right now in Omaha, and they take on North Carolina tomorrow at 2 p.m. We have baseball for you at 2 o'clock today, of course, as Florida will take on North Carolina State, the team that was really pretty much the last team to enter into the College World Series. Virginia has already been eliminated. FSU eliminated them yesterday, 7-3. And when we come back, also before we talk to Allison, we have a highlight for you with a local guy, so we'll let you hear that as well. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
You have heard about the 1010XL YouTube channel. Now check out our team-specific channels, 1010XL Jaguars, 1010XL Gators, and 1010XL Seminoles, bringing up specific, up-to-the-minute video coverage of your favorite local team. And find us on YouTube today.
Mia here. You've heard me rave about my friends at Duck Duck Rooter, the #1 master septic contractor in all of Florida. But don't forget about Duck Duck Air Conditioning, the Jacksonville area's AC experts. The temperature is about to turn up a notch, folks. Should your AC not be working at your home or business, Duck Duck AC can help. Call 904-862-6769.
I have done in my career literally thousands of joint replacements.
Meet Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, National Medical Director at QC Kinetics, an acclaimed orthopedic surgeon who now advises patients try all they can do to avoid the knife and consider regenerative medicine.
I myself was able to continue skiing for 10 years after my knees started to be a problem because I accessed regenerative medicine.
Now, after 20 years of study, research, teaching, publications, and clinical experience, Dr. Scheinkup is regarded as one of America's true pioneers.
This is the future of medicine.
Dr. Scheinkup came to QC Kinetics after seeing what they were doing around the country, helping tens of thousands of patients get lasting relief from joint pain with no surgery and no drugs.
QC is so far ahead of the game in its science, its protocols, its people, its facilities.
Call now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. 904-274-5522.
What makes a Honda certified pre-owned vehicle so special? 182-point inspection, 24/7 roadside assistance, first-year free oil changes, and a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty for carefree driving backed by American Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer today.
Kick it here with Zero Res. If you're like me, you like to sit on the sofa recliners and watch a good game or show. Unwind down from the day. But sometimes TV time means food, drink, and a mess as well. That's why you need to have the Zero Res truck out and get that furniture looking great again. All of June, Zero Res offering 25% off all upholstery cleaning, 25% off a sectional, off a sofa, 25% off a love seat, 25% off your favorite recliner. Zero Res, man, you spell it forward, you spell it backwards. Zero Res, it's the right way to clean.
Chelsea here from Renewal by Anderson, where we deliver custom-designed energy savings windows and doors. Did you know our unique Fibrix material combines elegance and resilience, offering double the strength of traditional vinyl? Now through June, buy one window or patio door and receive 40% off, plus 0 down, 0 monthly payments, and 0 interest for 12 months. Restrictions apply. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit rbafla.com for details. License number CGC 1527613.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
2 hours spent on two things: your Jags and the rest of the NFL with Mike Dempsey and Fat Tony.
Jaguars Today from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
Every weekday from 10 to noon on 1010XL.
Hey folks, this is Dave Benyon with my son Ammon here from Zero Res. Ammon, you've been cleaning air ducts for a while now. What are some of the reasons customers might consider getting their air ducts cleaned?
There are many reasons. Many times, people suffer needlessly from poor indoor air quality produced by the conditions in their air system. Construction dust, the presence of bacterial growth, and years' worth of buildup all come together to make your air ducts a pretty gross place. If you suffer from allergies, have recently moved, recently remodeled, or have never had your air ducts cleaned, then now is the best time to call. By calling Zero Res, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing that you called the best of the best. Our state-of-the-art truck mount system and top-of-the-line service representatives simply can't be found anywhere else. Google Zero Res and read thousands of 5-star reviews.
So what kind of deals can I expect?
Just mention that you heard us on the radio, and we'll give you $100 off your air duct cleaning.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty great deal. Remember, folks, Zero Res,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
CEROREC. Zero Res.
Mia here. Celtics, Mavericks, NBA Finals. Can Luka figure out how to lead Dallas and take home the Larry O'Brien Trophy? Make sure you're in on the action, winning money with MyBookie. With MyBookie, you can bet from anywhere, anytime, so you never miss a shot, cash in on a play. You can even live stream and bet on the games right from the sportsbook, giving you everything you'll need to decide, cash out or let it ride. MyBookie really makes it easy to get paid with tons of boosted props and slam dunk parlays. And new boosts are now posted on the daily. It's more than just a sportsbook. Buzzer beaters, underdog upsets, and a community to share in all of the sweats. Give yourself a head start today and play with house money using promo code 1010XL when you make your first deposit. That's promo code 1010XL to claim a limited time bonus when you sign up and make that first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
Now that's what I call high quality H2O. If you want high quality water throughout your home, call your local water boy. We install equipment to solve any water problem. Waterboyjas.com.
Guys, feeling deflated in the bedroom? ED, low T, no energy? If your stuff is broken, call 904-STROKEN or 904stroken.com. No shots in the first treatment, now free. Fix your ED at 904stroken.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Alex Lodies puts a charge into this one to left center, and he goes deep to lead off the 6th for Florida State. Third home run of this ball game for the Seminoles.
And I'm talking about a big ball here. 108 off the bat, 407 feet it went.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Welcome back to Helmets and Heels on this Big Chief Tire Monday with 5 locations around town. You just heard that home run for Alex Lodies. Started at UNF, then transferred to Florida State as we say hello now to Allison Posey at Allison Posey 14 on X. Allison, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let's start with that loss to Tennessee because I know Noles fans are still upset about that, the lack of the called strike on Tennessee, and certainly Florida State could have played a little bit better to not get into that situation. But either way, what's the temperature of Noles fans right now?
I mean, if you would have asked me that Saturday, I would have said highly irate, upset, bad. I mean, but winning yesterday against Virginia definitely kind of shifted the mood and little more hopeful, happy now than they were 24 hours post that Tennessee loss. But yeah, fans were not happy. Fans still aren't happy because I mean most people feel that they should be 2-0, sitting pretty, instead of 1-1 and kind of fighting for their life now.
Not that I want to cue up the conspiracy music, Allison,
Don't
but
do it.
RJ, if you want to cue it up, I'm not going to say no, because to take our listeners behind the curtain, you are in Tallahassee, but your colleague Ryan Kelly is there in Omaha for you guys.
Mhm.
And from him to Ira Schafel to Kurt down the line, none of the attending media actually were able to get a question in on
Yeah.
Friday night. Why?
Yeah, and apparently they only took 4 questions, and the press conference lasted 12 minutes. So it's. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I have my own opinions. I think that the Florida State SID should be the one calling on people instead of the NCAA people who have no idea who Adam is from. I mean, they don't know. So it is what it is. I mean, at this point, I feel Florida State fans are just kind of expecting to be screwed. So it's kind of something we all just laugh about at this point.
Now, Allison, moving on to the next game, Carson Dorsey giving you 7 innings. Any baseball, if you're a baseball fan and you watch baseball, that is ideal, what you want out of your starting pitching. Obviously, if they get through 7, it adds a lot of confidence and it gives a little bit of leeway. But how beneficial is that for Florida State, especially in moments like right now?
It's huge. I mean, if you know anything about, if anybody knows anything about the Florida State team, if they follow them at all, pitching, the bullpen is where they lack. They don't have it. I mean, not having Cam Leiter at this point is not good. I mean, Connor Whitaker is just coming back off an injury. Thank God they have him back. But the bullpen is where this team lacks. If Florida State had a shot at anything, they needed Carson Dorsey to go long yesterday, which he did. I mean, he went 7 innings, pitched lights out, pitched very well, but that saved that bullpen. I mean, Ox came in and relieved him, and that was it. So we saw 2 arms yesterday, which was big time. And Link hasn't named a starter for tomorrow, and that's because he kind of joked. He's like, don't even ask, because they don't know. It's really going to be a win by committee, and we need those guys in the pen to step up, whoever it is, however many arms we see tomorrow, because if they have a shot against Tennessee, they need Jamie Arnold and they need Whitaker to be as fresh as they possibly can. We cannot see them at all tomorrow. They need that pen to step up, because that bullpen is what's hurt them all year. They just don't have the depth, and that's why they really needed to beat Tennessee on Friday night so to be set up a little bit better. But that didn't happen, so it is what it is, and they have to do what they have to do. But, yeah, Carson going the distance yesterday was huge for them. I mean, he did exactly what they needed him to do.
Allison, big picture, it feels to me like this is FSU's year just because of the fact that Mike Martin passed away earlier this year, and Link Jarrett certainly knows how important this is for Noles fans.
Yeah, I mean, I and you go back to 11. I mean, the game that Florida State won to get them there started at 11 in the morning when they beat UConn. So it was kind of like, oh my God, this is written in the stars. We're supposed to be here. I mean, yeah, I mean, it'd be ideal. It's not going to be easy though, guys. Like, let's be real. I mean, again, I go back to this pitching staff. They're going to have to step up and really, truly win by committee tomorrow, and then hopefully they do well against Tennessee and shut down that potent offense. But yeah, I mean, if this was the year, they've been there so many times and haven't done it yet, but you hope that 11's kind of shining down and going to give them that little extra umph to push them over the hump, because if it's written in the stars, man, I don't know how much more you can write a better story than that.
Allison Posey is our guest on the All Pro Roofing Hotline from WCTV in Tallahassee. Of course, Allison, we'd be remiss if I didn't reference that you did attend the University of Florida, and so thus I do.
You're going to do this to me.
Well, listen, I mean, you have a very unique perspective, perhaps more unique than any sports media personality in the state of Florida, because you cover the Noles, you grew up in Tallahassee, you did attend the University of Florida, and so I'm curious for the Gator fans who may not be as familiar with this Florida State outfit. Kind of give me an idea of the 2 different trajectories from your perspective these 2 teams are on, and perhaps why casual baseball fans should be paying attention today and tomorrow to the College World Series.
I mean, selfishly, I wanted it was perfect. They're both in two different pools. I mean, I wanted a Florida State championship series. I mean, how sweet would that have been? I would have been a wreck the whole game. But, I mean, Florida, it's poetic justice for them because last year they obviously know what happened. I mean, I remember watching that series against LSU and thinking, oh, my God, we're going to do this. And then LSU turns around and embarrasses them right back. So for Florida, it'd almost be like getting revenge, especially for them being so late. A lot of people didn't even think they should be in the postseason at all. And then for them to go on the road and do what they did to get here is a huge deal. And they got robbed by that right fielder the other night. So, and then for Florida State, we talk about 11. It's just, again, the story, your longtime coach, the kind of the patriarch of this program passes away this spring. To win it for him, Link Jarrett is from Tallahassee. Their head coach, he grew up right around Dick Howser Stadium, went to school at Florida State, played at Florida State. It's his alma mater. So for him to come back and coach the hometown kid, coaching the team, I mean, both of them have just such good storylines. Like I said, selfishly, I wanted them to play each other because it is. It's just a great story both ways. But they both have long roads to get there. I mean, I'm optimistic they can do it, but you got to play perfect baseball from here on out.
Yeah, Allison, I kind of joke. I'm a Notre Dame fan, and so I always say Link abandoned us. But the story is something it's fitting. It's perfect for him to go back and, like you said, hometown, homeschool, everything like that. But how important has it been, and how cool has it been to watch what Link's been able to do in just 2 seasons? Because it really feels like this is just the beginning, and it's already been really fun to watch.
100. I mean, he's more than doubled their win total from last year. I mean, Florida State, when he got here, they were left barren. I mean, they didn't. The cupboard was more than bare. There was nothing on it, and he has been able to truly get in and kind of rebuild this program and kind of renew this fan base's energy. Like for anybody that's been watching the games, it sounds like a home game for them. I mean, it is incredible that the fan base, the animals, is that passionate section at Dick Howser Stadium if you're a Florida State fan, and they've all shown up. I mean, they had a GoFundMe for one of their biggest fans to get there. I mean, that's how passionate this fan base is. So it's just everyone's just so excited that this Florida State baseball program is back where, I mean, they rightfully belong. I mean, Florida State they've been around a long time. This is nothing new for them. I mean, Tennessee kind of shot on the scene as of late. Florida State's been around for a long time, guys. And, I mean, just from being a Notre Dame fan, Link is a student of the game. I mean, that guy will talk about baseball with you for hours. He knows everything. And it's so fun to just talk with him. And he's so passionate about this team and this program and getting them back to Omaha. And I'm just so happy for him. I mean, it's cool to see local guys do big things. And for him to be as passionate as he is about this program, everybody just eats it up. And it shows. I mean, like I said, this fan base has just showed up for this program all year. And they're happy to be back where they belong.
Allison, take me through the journey of Jaime Ferrer. He's from Puerto Rico, ends up in Tallahassee, plays for 2 seasons for FSU, then transfers to Brewster, then he's back at FSU. Take me through that journey.
Yeah, Jaime, let me tell you something about Jaime. And this is for anybody on this team. And again, I think this is why this fan base is just so passionate about them. They love these fans. I did a story last week with Jaime about he's befriended this little girl, this 7-year-old girl, Harper, and she makes bracelets for him before every game. And her family actually made the trip to Omaha, and his mom texted me because he hit 2 home runs yesterday. Her mom texted me yesterday and said Harper was able to give Jaime a bracelet. That's why he did hit the 2 home runs. But the guys feed into it. I mean, Cam Smith has befriended a little girl on the team too. These guys are just, I could go on about them all day, guys. I mean, we could be here all day talking about them. But yeah, I mean, Jaime's had a heck of a year. He's shown up. I think they said last night the first player since 1998 to have 4 RBI games, which is nuts. I mean, I'm just so happy for them. I mean, they put in the work and they wanted to be here, and this is where they are.
As we wrap up with Allison Posey, sports reporter and anchor at WCTV in Tallahassee. Of note, of course, Florida State's next opponent, North Carolina. They will square off at the Chuck tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern. What do we need to know about the Heels, Allison?
I don't think it's so much Honeycutt is obviously the guy that you have to watch for them. But I think, again, I don't think it's so much North Carolina. I think Florida State's just going to have to go out, and again, we talk about perfect baseball, but this pitching staff has to show up. It's not so much about North Carolina, it's that what can Florida State do? They have to, that pen has got to show up tomorrow, and if they don't, it doesn't matter, because if they don't have the pitching, if those guys don't show up and have a good day on the mound, no matter how, and it's truly going to be won by committee. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw 4, 5, 6 guys tomorrow. Seriously. If they each go a couple innings, that's probably what we'll see tomorrow from them, because they're going to have to do that to preserve those arms for Tennessee. So I don't even think it's so much Tennessee, or not Tennessee, about UNC. It's what can this Florida State do, and it's going to rely on that pitching staff. But yeah, I mean, Honeycutt's the big one. I mean, he's going to be a big guy to look for in the draft. So stopping him, but it's more about this pitching. Do they show up? And if they do, Florida State has a shot.
The power of Eric Church will not be able to compel North Carolina over
Tell him to
Florida
leave.
State. There it is. There it is. Allison, thank you so much for taking some time. Know you're doing a lot of things out there in Tallahassee, and of course Ryan Kelly up there in Omaha. So appreciate all the coverage that you guys have been able to provide Noles fans and beyond.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me again. I appreciate it.
There she goes, Allison Posey at Allison Posey 14. I told her this morning, or yesterday when I first texted her, I was like, I'm actually kind of shocked this is your first appearance on the daily iteration of Helmets and Heels, considering she was the first female sports director at a television station in the state of Florida. So round of applause for Allison, because she's fantastic. And yeah, Noles tomorrow. Hey, like you said, Lauren, win or go home for both Florida and Florida State, and two teams that have had their backs against the walls at different points in the season now have to put their money on the line out in Omaha.
By the way, Eric Church went to App State.
So why is he there? This is like worse than like at least like Ashton Kutcher with Iowa, like he's from there. I guess Eric Church from North Carolina.
From North Carolina,
right? But like Ashton Kutcher started at Iowa and failed out. Like at least like there's that. I don't
know.
I mean, does Florida have somebody like
does
this?
he root for North Carolina and like other sports? I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well, because he roots for North
I
Carolina.
went to USF, but I cheer for Notre Dame. People can do that.
No. I mean, like, but it's also I love you, UNF alums, fans. It's the UNF alums that also cheer for Florida. That's what I would equate it to.
There's also
nothing
UNF
wrong with that.
fans
I went to
that
a
cheer for
D3
FSU.
school. I went to a
That's
D3 school,
not-
so I can't talk either.
All right, we've got a Taylor's Tangent when we come back. And by the way, when it comes to Florida baseball, we finally do know who will start for NC State at 2 o'clock today. It's going to be sophomore lefty Dominic Fritton. That's the guy that they will go with. They were between Dominic and a senior, but they decided they will go lefty Dominic Fritton. And, of course, Florida will pitch lefty Jack Caglione. And the Wolfpack, I love this stat. Thank you, Jacob Redner, for this. NC State came into the College World Series with the worst on-base percentage against Southpaws, which was .764, among the final field of 8. So you knew Kevin O'Sullivan was already going to pitch Cags because it's game now 3. But mainly, I think the left-handed part is a huge part. All right, Taylor's Tangent when we come back on a Big Chief Tire Monday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's a Helmets and Heels Big Chief Tire Monday.
If you come with us, you're in this life for good.
This is it.
Yeah, this is it.
This is what?
1010XL.
Summer is heating up, and in Jacksonville, that means fun in the sun, days at the beach, and living that sweet Florida life. But you know what makes life even sweeter? A new Toyota from Arlington Toyota. Why Arlington? All right, you gotta hear this. Just drive to their lot and you will see that Arlington has a huge selection of new vehicles in stock in one location. No more driving around trying to figure out what you want. Arlington has it. And at Arlington, every new purchase comes with Arlington's lifetime warranty. That's unlimited time and miles. But it keeps getting better. How about 60 days to decide if you love your new Toyota purchase or exchange it for one that you do? Worried about financing? Don't be. Arlington is here to help with the Arlington Credit Helper. You even get a complimentary car wash with every service. And did I mention, Arlington has an amazing 4.7 star rating and over 20,000 Google reviews. It's going to be one sweet summer when you shop in person. 10939 Atlantic Boulevard or online at arlingtontoyota.com.
Matt, eating well can actually taste amazing with Awaken 180.
Exactly what Mike and I have been telling you, Hacker. It's all about discovering flavors that are as good for you as they taste.
I'm now down 70 pounds, and it's only been 3 months. No gym, no meds, just great food and fantastic coaching from Awaken 180.
Woo, baby! I told you so. Awaken 180 has changed the weight loss game. I saw Mike Dempsey drop his 25 pounds in a month, so I wanted in. You listeners know my results, but what we haven't shared is a ton of friends and family and listeners have jumped on board too. Their results? 100% success across the board.
Crazy to think there is a program that can work for everyone. But losing 70 pounds in 3 months proves that crazy is not so crazy. If you're listening and ready for fast results, expert coaching, and delicious food, Awaken 180 is the way to go. Head to awaken180weightloss.com and watch the weight melt off, starting with your very first week.
Let's fire up the flavor and ignite those appetites. Let's slow down and smell the barbecue. Because all your favorites are smoked for hours and ready for eating when you are. From our famous ribs to slow smoked pork. Enjoy some perfection by the plateful, safely in our dining room or in the comfort of your home. With curbside pickup, drive-through, and delivery. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
If the Florida heat is getting you down and you're sweating up a storm, fire up a phone call to Florida Home AC and order an AC tune-up. It's the best way to beat the heat and keep your AC unit working at peak performance. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com for their tune-up special and make sure you're primed for the peak of that heat. Florida Home AC, the official AC provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and just a phone call away at 777-4300. Order that tune-up today.
This is the sound of turning small bets into legendary wins. Only on the Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook app. The sound of parlays. The sound of paydays. The sound of watching the game will never be the same. Hard Rock Bet has already paid out millions and millions in parlays to people across Florida. Download Hard Rock Bet now, and if your first bet doesn't win, get up to $100 back as a bonus bet. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to play. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Facing a DUI charge or even a boating under the influence charge? Well, I'm your man, DUI lawyer Malcolm Anthony at 285-4LAW. 285-4LAW. Once again, 285-4LAW.
Hey Jacksonville, Lauren Brooks here from Helmets and Heels for Big Chief Tire. For over 60 years, Big Chief has been known for fair prices and quality service you can trust. Whether you drive an electric vehicle or a traditional car, they carry the best tire brands to keep you safe on the road. If you're ready to experience great service without breaking the bank, visit BigChiefTire.com or call 904-932-0950 to schedule an appointment at any of their 5 locations. 904-932-0950.
This is Joe C. from XL Primetime and stoked to crank up the 9 after 5 once again at the Golf Club of Southampton. Every Wednesday, a little after 5, the gang at Southampton will be hosting us with a new game, and I'm inviting you to be a part of it. Now, through the summer stretch, break up the week with a little hump day fun every Wednesday. Call 287-PLAY to get on the tee sheet. There'll be food afterwards and prizes, including playing for a membership at the Golf Club of Southampton. Call 287-PLAY and hit the tee with Joe C.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On June 17, 1979, at the U.S. Open, Hal Irwin wins his second Open title, 2 strokes ahead of former champions Jerry Pate and Gary Player.
Craving a cold one? Well, zip into one of the great gate locations you see all over town and pick up a cold Bud Light, or a Natty, or an Ultra, maybe a 12-pack of the King of Beers, or some cold Coronas. It's all happening at your local gate convenience store. Slide on in today.
Don't make a bad call when it comes to servicing your home. Cooling off with a baby pool in the house to fix your air conditioning problem is a bad call. Trying to catch a wave in a flooded bathroom is a bad call. Using a burning electrical panel to make s'mores is a bad call. The next time something goes wrong, make a good call to Donovan.
Whether you need air, electric, or plumbing service, Donovan is always a good call. It's why we've been trusted by our customers for almost 40 years and why you can trust us to deliver fast, reliable service to your home. Donovan, always a good call.
Visit DonovanAC.com today.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor on 1010XL.
Welcome back to Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday. Visit BigChiefTire.com. 5 locations around town. They will certainly help you with anything you need automotive related. All right, Taylor, you've got a tangent for us every day now. Is this correct?
I do. So this is my new my new Taylor's Tangent, where I'll just ramble on about whatever maybe is bothering me, maybe I'm excited about it.
Okay.
If you know Taylor, you know I go off on a lot of tangents. I'm that one that's like, if I see something, I read an article or I see a video or whatever it may be, I'll go on something random, and my friends are always like, this is the most random conversation I've ever had in my entire life, but that's what it's about. So, Taylor Tangent time.
I love it. RJ, take it away.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
So like I said, this is going to go many ways. Thank you for letting me get to ramble, and also to Chick-fil-A, because if you also know me, you know I love my chicken nuggets, so it's perfect. But this one has a clip, because why it wouldn't be a Taylor segment if it didn't have a clip. So RJ.
Deuce. This deuce revolver was my problem solver. Let's go. How often do people slide down that slide over there, right? He can't get there. He better not outrun you. He better not outrun you. He better not. You better not let the pitcher outrun you, dog. Come on now. That's what I'm talking about. 2 for 2 is Thank you. Anybody but the pitcher. You can't outrun me, dog. Not you. Yeah, I know. Oh, he gone. He took that. Get up in there. He took that. Give him that. Give him that. Where'd it go? Eat. Go eat. 22 eating right now. He's showing off for his uncle right now. All right, nephew. All right.
So if you missed it over the weekend, Snoop Dogg was in the booth at the Brewers game. Thought it was absolutely fantastic. I would love more of this. Get us some fans of the team in the booths to just kind of randomly call games. Obviously not an entire game. He was in there for an inning, but I guess he's a massive Christian Yelich fan, and in this play he was calling Christian Yelich stole second base. And so Christian Yelich then saw the call of Snoop Dogg, and he quote tweeted it on Twitter too about how this is amazing pretty much, because anybody who, you know, he was like, Snoop Dogg, I didn't know he was a fan of mine, but I'm here for it. And Snoop is a big Christian Yelich and Brewers fan, I guess. But I thought it was hilarious, and it brought me to, because I think we've seen a lot now, obviously these last couple years, when they've added in coaching, like they'll do the interviews in the middle, or the coaches in the dugout, the game's going, they're kind of commentating. We've seen the players every now and then get mic'd up during the live games, which some people love, some people hate. I think it adds an element, but at the same time, we have seen some moments where it hasn't been the best probably in those situations. So I think something like this would be fun, though, because there's so many fans. A lot of times also you don't know some of the celebrities that are fans of particular teams, so this adds an element. We could find out who Eric Church's real teams he cheers for if he calls the games. But I feel like this would be fun. Would you guys like hearing like just fun celebrities every now and then actually try and call a game?
I mean, I would go to when the Braves have Jeff Francoeur and a bunch of the former Braves players actually doing the broadcast. I think they only do it like how many times a year? Like I think it's like once or twice, something like that. Like that's one of my favorite baseball games to watch all year because it's insight, yes, from guys who played the game and look at it differently that perhaps than your typical play-by-play or your typical color analyst, even though usually the color analyst has played too, but also because it's like this ragtag bunch of guys that like live together, work together. It's a reunion of sorts, and so it's the hijinks that you get from inside the NBA, but on a live broadcast. And so if you can infuse that any way you want, that's just good television.
Well, and it kind of reminded me of, like, obviously they're former players, so this is a little different, but the Manning cast, obviously. Like if baseball did something like the Manning cast, and whether it be, you know, 2 former players, but they have all sorts of guests on there, and I think that's what makes it fun too, because they do have musicians and artists and other athletes from different sports and whatever, and it just adds a whole other, just another layer to me that I think is fun. So if someone came up with something like that for baseball, I think people would watch it.
Yeah, I agree. Depending on if the celebrity, you know, is a true fan. Like there's always, we always see celebrities. I feel like it's at NBA games the most.
Oh yeah,
and it's like
that
they
front row. You're like, no.
Yeah, I don't know if you're
Snoop
really
was
a fan.
also at one of the basketball. Oh, he was at the. Oh, I can't remember because I think it was Luka was talking. I think Doncic was like talking trash to Snoop on the side of the court.
He was talking trash to everybody and
yeah.
that kind of came back to bite him.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Yankees-Red Sox game last night on Sunday Night Baseball?
Oh, of course I did.
Okay, so Tristan Casas, who plays for the Red Sox, speaking of in-game interviews.
Yeah, this was great.
He tells a story, Taylor, of how when he was younger, there was at one point in time he just didn't feel like playing, and he was in the dugout and just didn't feel like running back out for defense. And his dad comes into the dugout, takes him by the shirt and basically throws him out onto the field and is like, you are playing this game. Well, one of the moms saw it and called child services. His dad was arrested at the Little League game and taken away. But he was like, the point of the story is I learned right then and there, you go out every day and you play for your teammates. But yeah,
or my dad's getting arrested.
Right, the story was so crazy as far as like the actual in-game interviews. Normally, it's much more just, I feel like, basic kind of stuff. But when they have the player that's actually playing and they interview him, that's always, to me, I get like anxiety, especially if it's my team, because it's like, please don't mess up.
I know.
When you're mic'd up, because we have seen errors be made.
There has been errors, and that's what I was saying. There's been a few errors. There's also been moments I've seen personally with the Cubs where Counsell's talking, and then like something happens, and you can tell he's trying to like react to what's going on. They're like in the middle of deciding if they want to do a pitching change, and he's having to talk to the booth.
More Snoop Dogg, less in-game interviews.
There we go. When we come back, we can get to Jaguars football, and also we have a very special guest at 1:15 as Noah Eagle will join us. Where is he now, Mia?
He is currently in the United States.
Okay.
He was in Paris. He's going back to Paris. It's a
Rough
potpourri of sorts. Yeah,
Noah Eagle tracker.
He also has a Dominican Republic trip, may or may not have that family trip booked in there in the middle of it. So we are very excited to get Noah on during that small window in which he's actually here.
I love that. So we'll talk Jaguars football and talk to Noah Eagle when we come back on Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Helmets and Heels.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust. Mornings on the Drill.
You think you're too cool for school?
Famous duos.
Let's get back to the reason that we're really here.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
They're breakdance fighting. Taste my pain!
Mornings on 1010XL 92.5 FM. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Mia here. Celtics, Mavericks, NBA Finals. Can Luka figure out how to lead Dallas and take home the Larry O'Brien Trophy? Make sure you're in on the action, winning money with MyBookie. With MyBookie, you can bet from anywhere, anytime, so you never miss a shot, cash in on a play. You can even live stream and bet on the games right from the sportsbook, giving you everything you'll need to decide, cash out or let it ride. MyBookie really makes it easy to get paid with tons of boosted props and slam dunk parlays. And new boosts are now posted on the daily. It's more than just a sportsbook. Buzzer beaters, underdog upsets, and a community to share in all of the sweats. Give yourself a head start today and play with house money using promo code 1010XL when you make your first deposit. That's promo code 1010XL to claim a limited time bonus when you sign up and make that first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
Guys, feeling deflated in the bedroom? ED, low T, no energy? If your stuff is broken, call 904-STROKEN or 904stroken.com. No shots in the first treatment, now free. Fix your ED at 904stroken.com.
Is your old AC trying to keep up with the Florida heat?
At JTM Comfort Services, they understand the importance of a reliable AC system. That's why they offer financing on qualified repairs and replacements. Don't suffer through another scorching summer. Upgrade now to a new, energy-efficient system. Visit jtmcooling.com to learn more and schedule your consultation. Veteran and family-owned.
Your comfort is your name. Call my dad to keep you in the game.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Divorce, menonly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to divorcemenonly.com. Divorcemenonly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
At Hodges Mazda, what Mazda moves you? Find out. Take advantage of 0% APR on the versatile lineup of 2024 Mazda crossover SUVs. Lauren Brooks here. Choose from the off-road ready 2024 Mazda CX-50, the stylish 2024 Mazda CX-30, or the tailored for you Mazda CX-5. With 0% APR for 36 months, you'll find your perfect CUV. The professional non-commissioned sales team always puts your best interests first, and you'll get 2 years free maintenance. Visit Hodges Mazda today or shop online at hodgesmazda.com. See dealer for details. Terms and fees for qualified applicants expires July 1st, 2024.
You don't have to be a football star to get a signing bonus. The team at Republic Services needs your skills, and they're paying up to $5,000 for you to join the roster. You'll be joining a winner. As an essential business, the Republic Services trucks have not stopped rolling with hourly and weekly pay and better benefits and vacation packages than the rest of the league. Driver trainees, $1,000 sign-on bonus. CDL drivers, $3,000. Diesel mechanics, $5,000 bonus. Join the winning team at Republic Services today. Visit republicservices.com.
Equal opportunity employer.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. By now, everyone has heard about saving money on their energy bills. There are all sorts of things you can do to cut energy costs, but most people don't think about their windows.
But Window World knows that the biggest energy loss in almost every home is the windows. There is more energy loss from old builder-grade windows than just about anything else in your home.
You can upgrade your heating and air, your appliances, that's good too. But before you do all that, upgrade your windows to Window World's energy-efficient windows.
Window World's windows are easy to clean, energy efficient, and have the best guarantee in the business.
Window World's slogan is simply the best for less, and we mean it. You get great American-made windows, and you get to keep more of your money when you buy from Window World. Need any more reasons to buy your windows from Window World? Call them today and set up your free in-home estimate, or go online to windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World, simply the best for less.
Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update. Bryson DeChambeau wins the 124th U.S. Open, finishing 6 under, making this his second U.S. Open victory, defeating Rory McIlroy by 1 stroke. DeChambeau on his win.
I don't know what to think. It fully hasn't sunk in yet, but I just want everybody to enjoy it as well. As much as it is heartbreak for some people, I mean, it was heartbreak for me at the PGA, and I really wanted this one. And I turned the corner and saw I was a couple back, and I said, nope, I'm not going to let that happen. I need to focus on figuring out how to make this happen. And I don't know what else to say. It's the dream come true.
Up in Omaha at the College World Series, the Tennessee Vols tops Florida State for Game 1, 12-11, forcing the Noles to play an elimination game against Virginia Sunday afternoon. The Noles responded and beat Virginia 7-3 to extend their season. Up next for the Noles will be playing North Carolina tomorrow at 2. It's 86 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
We have a giveaway to do.
We do have a giveaway. We have a lunch with the ladies. Our new segment where every day from now through all of football season, we're going to be giving away lunch for 2 to Chick-fil-A. So if you want to call right now, 904-641-1010, you can win a lunch for 2 to Chick-fil-A.
Which caller number?
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking 2, since it's lunch for 2.
Perfect.
Caller number 2, and also Pinehurst number 2.
There you go.
Also
like
second
that.
place for Rory. Yeah, we'll connect it all together, is right. All right, so the Jacksonville Jaguars are obviously now banking on Trevor Lawrence is going to be the guy to win them a Super Bowl after he got the 5-year, $275 million contract extension on I guess it was Thursday night. We talked about that on Friday. One of the additions on the offensive side of the ball would be Gabe Davis. So Gabe played for Buffalo. Now he comes here, and I don't know if y'all got a chance to read my Bianchi's article, but he did a great job in detailing how hard Gabe Davis works. And this was to me the most interesting part from the tweet is he put, I don't think the Jaguars realize yet how good Gabe Davis is on the field and in the locker room. And thankfully last week, or worked out timing-wise, Hayes Carlin caught up with Gabe Davis, and here's Gabe on what type of player he is.
No, I love it. I feel like they know the type of player that I am, and they're going to use that to their advantage. Not having me do nothing too crazy that's out of what I can do, out of my range. So just happy to be able to start camp and be able to get out there with the guys and go compete.
Part of that, of course, is he's working his way back from a PCL injury, so not a full go throughout the duration of the off-season program. I'm not going to lie, Lauren, when you were first leading into number 2 and I was like, obviously the Jaguars are in the midst of the off-season program, so there's not much news to report. But yes, Mike Bianchi did get to catch up not only with Gabe, but with the Draft Academy, as it's being called. I think I said the name right. Yes, the Draft Academy, which is the group that Gabe worked with, his trainer, since he was a young student at Seminole High School down in the Orlando area, that helped him achieve his dream of playing Division I football, eventually achieve his ultimate dream of playing in the National Football League. So definitely encourage you to check that out. It is not behind a paywall. So
I know that was a wonderful thing.
Head on over to OrlandoSentinel.com for that. But the other surprise, because most of this I'm familiar with, especially, we had Ty Dunn, who of course is based out of Buffalo, speaking with a lot of our Buffalo contemporaries. They've raved. They cried when Gabe Davis and Mitch Morse left, because not only walking sound bites in that locker room, but stabilizing forces in that locker room, both coming down here to Jacksonville. And obviously there's some intent there, not just based on what they can do on a football field, but what they bring to that locker room. What I didn't know, Gabe Davis didn't have a single Power 5 offer, yet he was a captain on 13-0 UCF as a freshman.
Yeah.
What? How did I not? I'm sorry to our Knights and the alums out there. How did we not know this? This is crazy.
Yeah. And that's one of the main, I guess, things I took out of this article is, and we talk about it all the time, the guys that are physically naturally gifted, and they can pretty much go out and play any sport. They don't have to try. It is what it is. They have the body type and the framework and everything. And we see, unfortunately, sometimes those circumstances, those guys get themselves into trouble in college or in the NFL. And you're like, why are you wasting your just natural, given physical
Justin
abilities?
Blackman would be a perfect example of that.
And things like that where it's almost frustrating to watch, because you're like, you have this opportunity. You've been given this gift that some people work their butts off, and Gabe Davis is one of these guys who didn't have that naturally and has had to work very hard. He said since 9 years old, he decided he wanted to be in the NFL, and he worked every single day to be able to do that, not getting a Power 5 offer, and then going to UCF to go be with Scott Frost. And then now we see what he was able to do with the Bills, and then now we're going to be able to see it up close and personal here in Jacksonville. But I think that's one of the things that really stands out about him is it's never been easy for him. He's had to work extra hard to be able to be the type of player that he is, and I love those stories, because it gives you that you're never going to have to question if Gabe Davis is working hard.
It's overshadowed because he was with Stephon Diggs, but and again, Mike Bianchi, OrlandoSentinel.com is where you can find the article. Here's the stat: in his 4 years in Buffalo, he averaged more touchdowns per reception, first downs per reception, and yards per reception than any regular starting receiver in the league.
Would you like to hear the 20 wide receivers who were selected before Gabe Davis in the 2020 NFL Draft?
Absolutely.
I will quickly run through them. Henry Ruggs, we know that situation. Sorry to start off on that note. Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Reagor, Jay Jettas, Brandon Ayuk, a little bit of news on him a little bit later in the 1 o'clock hour, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr., Laviska Shenault, KJ Hamler, out of the league, Chase Claypool, Van Jefferson, Denzel Mims, Lynn Bowden, Brian Edwards, out of the league, Devin Duvernay, and then Gabe Davis, 128th
It started
overall
pretty
pick.
strong outside of obviously Henry Ruggs and Reagor probably, but the majority of those are good, but then it fell off a cliff very fast in between them and Gabe Davis.
And it's because of the fact that he doesn't have the blazing speed. That's the reason that there were 16 receivers taken ahead of him in the 2020 NFL Draft. But as we all know from watching football play in and play out, it's not necessarily the blazing speed that's going to get you to be one of the best receivers. It's route running, your crispness at that. It's your ability to separate. Yes, speed helps in your separation, but it's not always just about that. And if you're a physical receiver, that can certainly help you as well. And so to have both Gabe Davis here, and I do think he's been overlooked, very similar to Christian Kirk when Christian Kirk was arriving here. And now, of course, to also have the blazing speed of Brian Thomas Jr., I can understand why Jeff Loggeman said he thinks this is the best group of receivers that Trevor's ever had when he joined Jaguars today last week.
Yeah, I'm double-checking something right now, because I always hear about how the Jaguars, they can never find gems on day 3. They can never find contributors, which once upon a time Gabe Davis was a day 3 pick in the NFL Draft. I've heard more than once some of our contemporaries on this very station say, who is our Puka? Puka Nacua ran a 4.57 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine. Were people saying, where is our Puka, before he did what he did last year? And not to mention, Now people want to take Puka Nacua in the first round of their fantasy football draft. They want to put him in their top 10 of their wide receivers in the National Football League. And he runs a 4.57. Not everyone has to be a 4.3 burner. It's important that you have that 4.3 burner on your roster in this day and age. But I think it's equally important to have guys that can contort their body, that can win downfield deep, and also are such a bigger body wide receiver that they can win at the point of the catch in the red zone.
That's why Gabe plays very smart football, and it shows when he's on the football field because there's so many things he does without that speed. You wouldn't notice he's not that fast because he can do all of these other things at such a high level.
Yeah, he also knows how important it is to be a really good blocker.
Yep.
And so a blocking receiver, as we all know, Brian Thomas Jr. talked about that after he was drafted, that if you don't block, you don't get the rock. That's how it was at LSU, which quick LSU mention. Les Miles, who once helped the Bayou Bengals win a national championship, is suing Louisiana State University. There's a lot that goes into it, but I just found that hilarious, that the grass eater is going to sue a school where he actually won. But of course, it's because in his mind, the school shouldn't have vacated some of his wins and all that stuff. But that's a whole nother tangent, and we already did Taylor's tangent. All right, so when it comes to Trevor Lawrence and these receivers, and certainly Evan Ingram, the tight end as well, don't you think we're going to see the most production, as long as Trevor stays healthy, the most production we've ever seen from him this season?
Logic says yes.
Yeah, that's what I truly believe, and it's not just because that's what I want to have happen, but he's now got guys that are going to be in the right position, and assuming the offensive line can protect him, and he says healthy, like I said, I think he should be somewhere in the ballpark of 4,500 yards and over 30 touchdowns with less than 10 interceptions.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody would want, obviously. And I think that when you look at previous numbers, the interception to touchdown ratio is the one thing that has to be fixed. And if that is something that this year those numbers look like that, then I think a lot of people will be apologizing about the criticisms of the contract.
And if he does that, logic would suggest that he does that without having to acquire an already established number one wide receiver in, I don't know, Brandon Ayuk. Since I teased it, and before we get ready to say hello to our next guest in Noah Eagle, let's hit that news here right now here on Helmets and Heels. A little that, RJ.
That just happened. Brought to you by Florida Home AC, the official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay, so this is just so weird to me. So Brandon Ayuk is sitting on what looks to be his living room couch, his parents' living room couch. He's FaceTiming with Jaden Daniels, his former teammate at Arizona State, of course, now the quarterback of the Washington Commanders. Posts this video of him FaceTiming with Jaden on TikTok and says, "I'm laughing, but I'm crying for real." And Jaden goes, "What happened, bro?" And Ayuk says, "The Niners said they don't want me back, I swear." The marketing strategies, they just keep coming up with new ones in the Brandon Ayuk camp. Whether that was leaking the fact that, maybe he wouldn't get the bag early in March, and so perhaps his camp was gauging what his market may be from other teams. Whether that's John Lynch standing on a podium and saying my reporting and Mike Silvers was inaccurate and they're not trading Brandon Ayuk, which, hey, they're not right now. But now you're literally filming yourself, FaceTiming your friend so you can post it on TikTok.
Very, very weird. And it's also the whole situation because I'd be interested to hear what other teams have offered for Brandon Ayuk because from what we've heard, the Niners say that no offer has been high enough to what they think is worth it. So, okay, if you think Brandon Ayuk's value is that high, then pay the man.
Right.
Because he's one of the best wide receivers in the league.
Which I get if you want to offload Debo first, and that's how you can create that sort of cap space. Sure, fine, all well and good.
I'm just interested in what they're trying to get.
Right, and I also want to understand the marketing strategy. So how about we bring in somebody who knows a thing or two about pop culture and a thing or two about Gen Z.
Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
He is the voice of Big Ten Saturday on NBC. Big Ten Saturday night, on NBC. He is Noah Eagle, fresh off the French Open and so excited to make his maiden voyage on Helmets and Heels. How are you, my friend?
Guys, I am wonderful. I'm even better now that I can just feel this exciting energy, exuberant spirit. So I'm doing great.
Let's get right to it. We're going to ask you about a variety of things, Noah, whether that is the tennis that you just provided for NBC, the tennis coverage, I should say, you just provided for NBC, whether that's your upcoming assignment with the Olympics, and, of course, the Big Ten on NBC this fall. But because I know you are the purveyor of all things pop culture, Brandon Ayuk recording himself FaceTiming Jaden Daniels saying the Niners don't want him around. Is that like the new marketing tool from these young whippersnappers? Like you film yourself and you put it on TikTok, try to like start a conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I'm old enough to remember when we had T.O. lifting weights with all the reporters basically trying to showcase what he is and what he has and what he's worth. You know, what happened to that? What happened to the good old days of just showcasing the guns, you know, sun's out, guns out. Instead now it's I don't know, downtime, FaceTime, whatever it might be. But, yeah, it's different. I think it's like the equivalent of you don't get the guy going up to the girl asking them out in person anymore. You get the DM reply to their Instagram story, hoping that maybe that can spark something and eventually lead to a date. That's what that feels like here with – and I saw the video. You know, Brandon Ayuk is basically trying to play his cards, and he's trying to force his hand. And whether that means he's going to get a big contract or it means he's going to force his way to a different team remains to be seen. He just wants to get paid. I mean, all these guys just want to get paid at the end of the day. I think he's smart enough to recognize that he's probably in the best position in terms of on-field success, and that goes both personally. He's an all-pro. You know, he had one of the great years in the NFL last year, and team success. And we know that from a legendary standpoint, from a legacy standpoint, winning games and winning Super Bowls matters, and he's had chances to do that. And I'm just not sure there's a better fit for him elsewhere. But that remains to be seen, and what the Niners decide to do is kind of in that same wavelength.
No, actually, Mia just kind of alluded to at the top. You do a little bit of everything, and just coming off the French Open, Big Ten football, NBA, WNBA. I also, being a Notre Dame fan, you got the call in last season, kind of last minute to call that game.
That's a hell of a story, by the way.
Fantastic job, by the way. But so before we kind of zoom in into like a little more specific into some of these topics, what has been maybe a couple of your favorite experiences so far calling games?
Ooh, yeah, that's tough. That's a tough question. And I do think that Notre Dame last-second call fly from L.A. to Atlanta to Dublin on less than 24 hours' notice has to be high on the list just because of the unexpected nature, how much I eventually enjoyed Dublin. Like being in Ireland, being around those people and how friendly everyone was pretty incredible. But, I mean, I've gotten a chance now to do 5 Nickelodeon broadcasts, and those are always incredible. And, you know, you talk about just some of the games that we've had a chance to do. I just Brandon Ayuk himself invokes memories of Niners at Cowboys, Dak Prescott sliding down, not getting a playoff, the final 14 seconds of the game. That was a special scene, first time for me at Jerry's World, so that was really cool. And then doing a Super Bowl this year with the Niners as well. Ironically, the Niners clearly not a big Nickelodeon team because they're 0-2 in Nick games. I don't think they do well with slime, and I'm sure Kyle Shanahan is keeping those receipts. But, yeah, those are up there. Vikings, Colts, greatest comeback in NFL history. I got the chance to be on the call for the Clippers' first ever run of the conference finals. You know, just all the great moments. And then, as you guys mentioned, just got back from Roland Garros in Paris. And to be there as a tennis fan, as someone who grew up loving the sport, loving the event, being a huge Rafa Nadal guy, and potentially doing his last match at the tournament is pretty cool.
Well, no, I'm going to ask you the controversial question, and that is, were you surprised when Caitlin Clark was left off of the women's basketball USA Olympic team?
Yeah, I would say surprised would probably not be the word. I think that it's a difficult decision, and I think there were a lot of moving parts within this decision. You know, the first part of it is there are a lot of veterans who have been a part of Team USA now for many, many years, who have been a part of different Team USA organizations, different events, different teams, and have, in theory, you know, within the eyes of that group, paid those dues and deserved their opportunity. And some of them have never been on an Olympic team, or at least an Olympic 5-on-5 team. they believe that they deserve that chance. Not to mention, look, this is not a fault of Caitlin, but she wasn't at the training camp because she was still playing in her college season, and she was making her run to another national championship game. That shouldn't be necessarily negative points, but it does take away from an opportunity to prove yourself with those peers. And if she had been available, she would have been there, and maybe things are a little different as a result. The other part of it is I think they wanted to look at her results when she started her WNBA career. From a statistical standpoint, she's been outstanding. I mean, she's, in terms of you just put her next to the greats, she's doing things that haven't been done since Diana Taurasi did them in the early 2000s. So from just a sheer statistical standpoint, the problem is the team hasn't been as good as maybe some had hoped, and they did just get a big win yesterday over Chicago, and they are starting to play a little bit better. I think they've won 3 of their last 5. So they're starting to trend upward here. I think they're starting to build a little bit more chemistry, especially with her and Aaliyah Boston. But I do think that they've looked at this in terms of Team USA, and they said Caitlin Clark isn't going anywhere. And they believe that she's going to be a part of their system for many, many, many years to come. They just didn't feel like now was the right time to do it. So surprised, I wouldn't say I was necessarily shocked. I think there was an element of they probably will put her on, maybe not. It was really an unknown. And so I was curious to see what the decision they would eventually make was. And now I think we've arrived at this, a conclusion essentially that, okay, they're going to move on without her. Who knows if Chelsea Gray can't go or if someone else goes down, what happens? But I think they've made this decision with the group they have. And if we're being honest, it's a group of 12 that's really, really strong.
Arguably the hardest team to make in the world, as so many have commented over the last few weeks, which, by the way, I will raise my hand. I said to Noah a few weeks ago, yeah, we're going to bring you on so we can talk about Caitlin being on Team USA. And, well, here we are at that juncture. Noah Eagle joining us on the All-Pro Roofing Hotline. He will be on the call with LaChina Robinson for Team USA at the Paris Games later this summer. Let's flip it over to the men's side, Noah. Who do you think will be the bigger headliner when it comes to that other team that arguably the most difficult to make in the world? That is, of course, Team USA men's basketball edition. Will the storyline be LeBron and Steph back at the Olympic Games, or will it be the young guys who we saw throughout the better part of the stretch run of the NBA playoffs in the Anthony Edwards, the Tyrese Halliburtons of the world?
I think that's what makes the team as a whole so great, is that it's the combination. I think at first, when we first get there, the storyline is going to be LeBron and Steph Curry playing together for the first time, Kevin Durant back in another Olympics, getting those guys, getting the gang back together. I think at first that's what you're going to hear. But as the games start going and Anthony Edwards starts to take over the way that we've seen he's capable of taking over games, starts to call off isolations, and starts to call off LeBron James calling for the basketball, I think the story is going to be on guys like him. Not to mention, to me, one of the biggest stories is Joel Embiid deciding to play for the United States. He had 3 different options. He could have played for Cameroon, where he's from. He could have played for France, which was kind of the expectation over the last couple of years. And really, French basketball expected him to be a part of the team. Or once he got married and officially had U.S. citizenship, which he now does, he could play for the U.S., and he elected for that third choice. And there's a lot of questions, I think, surrounding that decision of why would he go with the American side? Why wouldn't he try to uproot and kind of overtake the basketball supremacy? He could have been a part of the hometown team that already has Gobert and Wembanyama and Batum and, some really big names in the sport. And so I think that's going to be probably the main storyline, not to mention, it's hard to kind of go back and say all this, but Joel Embiid does not have a long history of winning the top titles in his basketball career. He didn't win at Kansas, and he certainly hasn't gotten even to the conference finals in the NBA. So for him, this is a chance to be a winner, to have a gold medal, to have something in his legacy aside from his MVP that he can point to on some real team success. I think that's a storyline because, look, the U.S. women, I think we can all agree, I don't see anybody who can realistically challenge them for the gold. But on the men's side, I mentioned the French team, they're loaded. The Canadian team is absolutely stacked with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jamal Murray, and Zach Edey's going to be playing for them as an anchor down low and some real size. Lou Dort, they've got legitimate players on that team. Germany won the World Cup last year. They're littered with NBA talent. Serbia has a 3-time MVP. Luka Doncic, as Slovenia gets in there, is a one-man wrecking crew. So the men, there's just so many more threats to the United States that if Joel Embiid, playing for the United States on a team that is heavily expected to win the gold medal, does not, I think that the response there could be visceral. And I think that, to me, is what I'm looking at as maybe the most intriguing storyline.
Noah, speaking of storylines, I want to flip this over real quick to the Big Ten. A lot going on in the Big Ten right now, including, I think, probably the biggest thing, the addition of Oregon, UCLA, USC, and Washington. So we're talking about a Huskies team coming off a national title game. Oregon, who looks like they're going to continue being one of the top leagues in college football. And then you throw in Penn State and even maybe Iowa into all of this, and a playoff expansion this year. How fun can the Big Ten be to watch?
I think it's going to be a blast. You know, you've got the SEC adding in Texas and Oklahoma and feeling like they're still the powerhouse, but you can make the argument that the Big Ten, with the expansion, has just as many teams that would threaten that college football playoff, especially in the expansion, and could legitimately win. Not to mention, you've got the reigning national champ in Michigan, the reigning runner-up in Washington. You mentioned Oregon. They return a ton of talent. Bring in Dylan Gabriel at quarterback. Dan Lanning is probably considered the hottest young coach and maybe even just the hottest coach in all of college football right now, and his success speaks for itself. You mentioned Penn State. They've been knocking on the door. It feels like every single year they've been one of the top 2 or 3 teams just outside that top 4. So now they get an opportunity to just get on the dance floor and see what happens. You know, they return a ton of talent with Drew Aller, who spent his first year last year as a sophomore as the starting quarterback, grew a lot from the beginning to the end of the year. Can he take that next step? It was a 5-star recruit, number 1 rated quarterback in his class. Can he be the guy that they expected him to be to lead them to the promised land on top of the stupendous defense that they always play, the great running backs that they will bring back, and some added depth at wide receiver? So they should be a player. But the best team, I think, potentially in the country, if I had to pick right now and say who's going to win the national championship, look, you could easily say Georgia. They return a ton from a team that really should have been in the college football playoff realistically last year. Alabama still, even without Nick Saban, is going to be a player. They always are, and we'll see what Kalen DeBoer can do. I mean, he is a winner. He has been a winner at every single turn. But if there's one team I'm picking, it's Ohio State. I mean, they return so much. They brought in even more in the transfer portal. And on top of all of that, they decide, you know what, we need to step our game up. Ryan Day has said, I'm going to take a step back. I won't be in complete control as I've been the last couple of years. Let's bring in Chip Kelly to be our offensive coordinator, pay him $2 million on top of Jim Knowles, who's maybe the best defensive coordinator in the country. To me, they have the best coaching staff and arguably the best roster in the country. And if they don't win a national championship this year, I think a lot of changes could be coming in Columbus. So that's a team with, 1, the most pressure on them, similar to Michigan last year. But 2, I think they've got all the pieces in place, and that's what I think makes the Big Ten so intriguing.
Yeah, it's wild to think Michigan could beat Ohio State. Ohio State could literally only lose that game, and yet people
still
still
talking
want
about Ryan Day.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'll tell you. So the craziest thing I heard this year, Joshua Perry works with us, an Ohio State legend, led the team in tackles the year they won the national title, played for, of course, Urban Meyer. He tells us great stories, but the one thing he told us was, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, when both of them made the college football playoff, and if you remember, Ohio State was right there. They just barely lose, and eventually I think they made it to the national championship game. They just barely lost in the national title game. But he said they could have won the national championship that year, and most fans in Columbus would have considered the season a failure because they lost to Michigan. Even if they won the national championship, that's how crazy that rivalry is.
Oof. Wild. Noah Eagle will be on the call. Big Ten Saturday night on NBC throughout the duration of this fall. We already got 2 games on the docket. The opener, Michigan and Fresno State at the Big House in Ann Arbor. And then, oh, baby, out to Lincoln you go, Noah, for Coach Prime, the Buffs, the Huskers. Emotions, excitement. I know it's always at an all-time high with you because you bring the juice, my friend. But when it comes to that matchup, Coach Prime, what he's brought to college football, for somebody who calls games every week, describe what he has meant to the sport.
Well, he brings eyeballs more than anything. And, you know, I think you could talk about the impact that he has, or the message that he sends, or just any of the role model that he is. More than anything, he's entertainment. And I think that's a good thing for the sport to have someone who is going to continue to create headlines, to create intrigue, and bring the eyeballs to games. On top of that, look, he is a master recruiter. He is a master motivator. And I think there are a lot of aspects of his coaching that are very good and very important to eventual success for a team. They were not in a good position last year. And the fact that they won some of those early games and they played the way they did and they had a couple close calls, I actually considered last season pretty much a success for them, despite them, I think, only winning 4 or 5 games. But you look at it now, I think a lot of the expectations are different. You know, he comes in after he brought a team back, or he basically created a team. It was as if he went into the new college football video game and just created a team from scratch last year. Well, now you bring pieces back. You've got what many consider to be the best two-way player in college football in Travis Hunter. You've got Shedeur Sanders, who a lot of people believe could be a top 10 pick at quarterback. You've got Shiloh Sanders as a defensive back who has shown potential to be explosive. And you've got now other pieces that have both come back and you've brought into the transfer portal. The expectations are going to be bigger, not to mention you're in a new conference, the Big 12, or soon to be, who knows, the Chick-fil-A 12, whatever they decide to go with.
Hey, we just debuted a new segment with Chick-fil-A as a sponsor, Noah, so we're here for the
Let's
Chick-fil-A
go.
12.
Synergy, baby. Synergy. That's what I do. I just he's good for the sport, in my opinion. I think that he does a lot that's positive. I really do think that game in particular, though, I think a lot of people are underestimating Nebraska. And I probably should have mentioned them when talking about the Big Ten as a whole, because they bring in a blue-chip prospect at quarterback, and you've got Matt Rule now in year 2, and that's the key. We had Nebraska at the very end of the year last year. That team was absolutely good enough to be a bowl team. If they had just won one of the last couple of games, they would have been. And they had, I would say, you know, and I work with Todd Blackledge, who's done college football now for 30 years. Todd Blackledge said it might have been the worst quarterback play collectively of any team he's ever seen at that level, especially a Big Ten team, especially, you know, a high-level Division I team, a program with as much history as Nebraska. Their quarterback play last year, to say it was abysmal would be an understatement. And the fact that they were still 5-7 tells you their defense was outstanding. Their culture was superb. And I think what he has done in terms of just infrastructure and accountability already in Lincoln was second to none in one season, which was insane. So now they get a legitimate quarterback in there, Dylan Raiola. They've got a ton of pieces coming back, a ton now coming in, and they bring back all of their top defensive players. That team has a chance to not just be good, to be really good and threaten to be in the playoff if everything goes right. And we've seen what Matt Rule can do in terms of turning programs around. So if I had to look at that game, and there was a lot, they played last year, week 2, and that was it might have been week 1, but that was an outstanding back-and-forth effort that Colorado eventually pulled out. That game has a chance to be as entertaining, as back-and-forth, and more importantly, can set the tone for both of their seasons. Whoever comes out on top there has this sense of confidence probably moving forward. Not to mention, I've been to Lincoln. I've done a night game there. That place is really, really special. They sell out every game, but at night it can get raucous.
And that game will be on NBC week 2 of the college football season. If only, Noah, Matt Rule and company had gotten past, and this is what we will end with because both of you don't realize your affection for this one individual. If only Nebraska could have gotten past Tory Taylor and the Iowa Hawkeyes. Taylor Dahl is very excited to have your good friend, Noah, Tory Taylor, in Chicago.
So it's funny. One of my good friends from college is a Chicago native. He works at a radio station over there. And when they drafted Tory Taylor, I texted him immediately, and I was like, you have no idea how jealous I am of what you just did. And he goes, what are we doing? I go, no. Take the step back.
Be excited.
You just drafted a Hall of Famer. Because I said, I will put my whole reputation on the line here that kid is going to be the best punter you will ever lay your eyes on. I mean, I've never seen he's like a wizard in how he can control where he puts a football. It's bizarre, and he just does it every single time. I'm going to miss calling his games.
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite memory when I had 1 year at Fox doing college football was we had Rutgers and Iowa, and it was Adam Korzak, the Rutgers punter, and Torrey Taylor, Iowa. And we literally had punter graphics and rollouts because they were the two best players on their respective teams. It was awesome.
Yeah, and a new kickoff now. I think we'll see him out there too. Honestly,
which the more
I agree.
The more
I
Torrey
agree.
Taylor, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also, by the way, Mia, just for you, we also had a Taylor Ham pork roll debate during that broadcast, so it was all good.
That's the only way to be. I was going to say maybe it's not an indictment on Rutgers football that the punter is the best player, or on Iowa, because at the end of the day, punting is winning, and ditto to any broadcast that entails a pork roll versus Taylor Ham debate. Noah, we could talk to you all day. You are a legend. Still not even 30 years old yet, out here calling games on NBC, the family of NBC networks, and of course will be on the call for the Paris games later this summer. Appreciate you, brother man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
There he goes, Noah Eagle on the All-Pro Roofing Hotline.
I've got a weather update from Omaha when we return. You're listening to Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels. This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers. Joe Cowart.
My reputation as a salesman precedes me.
Matt Hayes.
He's next on my list.
And Leon Searcy.
We're going to make the promised land. We have to work together.
There, XL Prime Time.
Then we're in big trouble.
Afternoons 2 to 4 on 1010XL.
Attention veterans, if you have a VA loan, you need to listen to this, especially if your current rate is higher than 6.5%. Now is the time to take advantage of the federal government's VA Streamlined Refinance Program. With my friends at Loan Pronto, you can. Go to loanpronto.com. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto has fixed rate APRs in the 5s. You can drop your rate now, lower your payment with no income documentation and no appraisal. Do it at loanpronto.com. Their all-digital platform makes it easy. They can even cover your closing costs. If you need cash now, Loan Pronto can get you up to 100% of your home value. You can pay off all your credit cards or other debt and save as much as $1,000 a month. Call Loan Pronto now at 904-999-1508 or get a 30-second rate quote at loanpronto.com. Ask about streamlined VA loans, no income doc, and no appraisal. Loan Pronto, 999-1508 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Anytime you've got major plumbing problems, and even the minor ones, there's several potential causes, and they usually can't be easily detected. So don't guess at a solution. Hire Roland Reese Plumbing at plumbingjacksonville.com.
If your ride is making strange noises, don't wait and make it worse. Come to Action Transmission on Merrill Road. My expert technicians can diagnose the problem and likely fix it fast. Experience the difference at Action Transmission on Merrill Road.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm dedicated to helping businesses manage risk, maximize opportunities, and move their company forward. Jimerson Burr attorneys are business-oriented lawyers, equally comfortable as community leaders, private transaction counselors, or courtroom advocates. If you have a legal issue of any kind affecting your business, contact the firm at 389-0050 or jimersonfirm.com.
Hi, I'm David Lane, your average everyday Joe. I'm 5 months out of my back surgery with Southeast Orthopedic, and I'm doing great. Thanks to Dr. Herford and his staff at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
David Garrard here. Playing in the NFL can put a lot of wear and tear on your body, especially your knees. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists has kept me mobile and ready to tackle every day.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Get closer to nature.
Trying to get close to these bucks out here.
Jeff Lageman, Captain Kevin Faber, and Captain Kirk Waltz. The Nimnicht Outdoor Show. Presented by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. Saturday morning 7 to 10 on 1010XL.
Hey, David here with Royal Pest Services. Men, are you struggling in the bedroom? Do spiders and roaches have you scared? Visit RoyalPestServices.com and let us help you get that man card back. Guaranteed results on our first visit.
This is Hayes Carline for SkyLife Elite. Are you tired of canceled flights, unruly passengers, and layovers? Call my friends at SkyLife Elite. Consider using private charter flights for your next adventure. Yes, you can afford it. Make your own schedule. Fly direct. Drive your car to Craig Airport and get directly on the plane. SkyLife Elite can make that happen. Call 490-9332, go to flyskylife.com, and find them on social media. Fly SkyLife Elite, North Florida's premier private air charter.
This is Niall Lawrence Stemple, former Florida State national champion and the proud owner of NLS Cleaning. Just like on the gridiron, we tackle dirt and grime with unmatched precision. Whether it's your commercial property or your residential space, we are ready to take care of your exterior cleaning needs. NLScleaning.net.
Your cooling system isn't working. Maybe somebody showed up with a portable electronic device. Then they discussed with you what your options are. Maybe they gave you an estimate that seems like an awful lot of money. What's the smart thing to do? When the situation merits a second opinion, get a Mike Merritt opinion. Yes, the Mike Merritt Comfort Team shows up with hand tools. We've never been able to fix an air conditioning problem with a tablet. Mike Merritt has been the trusted name for more than 30 years because there's never any hocus pocus. The Merritt team will walk you through the diagnostic steps up close and personal and show you exactly what you need. And the Mike Merritt price is likely to be far less because there's never an overtime charge, and the Merritt team doesn't work on commission. So remember, when it comes to the health of your cooling system, a second opinion can only help, and a Mike Merritt opinion can save you money. Florida license CACO 50384.
Attention skilled electricians. Are you undervalued at your current company? Time to step up to the bigger projects and better opportunities. Join the team at Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering not just the job, but an experienced, top-notch pay, unbeatable benefits, and the best working environments in the business. Please join the team that values your skills and rewards your hard work. Elevate your career to new heights. Apply today at millercareers.com, an equal opportunity employer.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
You're listening to Helmets and Heels.
Illuminated by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
So Florida takes on NC State, first pitch 2 o'clock. Florida is the home team in this matchup. And Scott Carter, who covers the Gators for FloridaGators.com, just tweeted this out. Good weather today in Omaha. But as flags show, wind blowing straight in pregame, gusts up to 25 to 30 miles per hour. So certainly that's not going to help the hitters, but it will help the pitchers potentially. And I mentioned it earlier, Florida will start Jack Caglione, the lefty, and the Wolfpack did come into the College World Series with the worst on-base percentage against southpaws. So that, at least in theory, is good news, and the Wolfpack will start sophomore lefty Dominic Fritton. Speaking of baseball, we've got a family 4-pack of Jumbo Shrimp voucher tickets for any game this season. Be caller number 3 right now, 641-1010. Caller number 3, you will win that voucher pack of tickets. And next Wednesday, come hang out with us and everyone else from 1010XL as it's 1010XL Shrimp Day. That is Wednesday, June 26th. First pitch will be 12:05. You know what we did not have time for today, ladies, is the latest drama in the WNBA. We certainly talked a little bit of Caitlin Clark with No Eagle, so we'll have to get to that tomorrow. But that'll be an interesting conversation as the WNBA continues to churn out that content for us. All right,
inadvertently or not.
Yeah.
And another quick thing, because the NFL announced that the Hard Knocks in season is going to be the AFC North.
I saw that.
So that'll be fun.
I like that. Yeah.
A lot of storylines in that division right now.
I mean, all 4 teams had a chance to make the postseason on the final day of the regular season, which is pretty crazy considering
quarterbacks in Pittsburgh, MVP quarterback in Baltimore, where's Joe Burrow coming off an injury
versus the nasty man.
Yeah.
Which,
nasty man.
Who knows what could happen there? But yeah,
AKA Deshaun Watson.
Yes, I'm talking about Deshaun Watson. He who must not be named. But yeah, I think it'll be an exciting spin on a classic.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we've got one segment to go here on Helmets and Heels. You are listening to a Big Chief Tire Monday. They've got 5 locations around town. Visit BigChiefTire.com. Go there if you need new tires or anything else automotive related. One segment to go, like I said, on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday, the local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust. Helmets and Heels. This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
There's a new one-stop shop for all things Jags. Subscribe to the 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channel. One-on-one interviews with players, practice footage, podcasts, and more. If you're looking for the best Big Cat coverage around, look no further. 1010XL Jaguars on YouTube.
Hacker here coming in hot. I'm so freaking stoked right now I could do cartwheels. Well, maybe not cartwheels yet, but soon, after already shedding a jaw-dropping 70 pounds thanks to the miracle workers at Awaken 180. My doc just told me to forget the scalpel. I was scheduled this month for a procedure for a vein in my leg, but thanks to dropping the 70 pounds, I no longer needed it. He was impressed, to say the least. He hasn't ever seen a transformation like I'm having with Awaken 180 weight loss. In reality, all that extra weight was dragging me down, not just figuratively, but literally. The benefits of losing it have been nothing short of amazing. Yes, a weight loss program that works can actually be done. And most importantly, done easily. If weight's holding you back and you don't think there's a plan you can do, let me tell you, there is. 70 pounds in 3 months, guys. It's doable. So do it online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Mia here. Celtics, Mavs, NBA Finals. RJ, is it over? Is the NBA Finals over? No, they're not. They are not. Game 5 is tonight, and make sure you're in the action with winning money on MyBookie. With MyBookie, you can bet from anywhere, anytime, so you never miss a shot to cash in on a play. You can even live stream and bet on the games right from the sportsbook, giving you everything you'll need to decide. Cash out or let it ride. RJ says it isn't over until it's over, but the Boston Celtics back home at TD Garden, 6.5-point favorites tonight. It's going to be tough. I'm not sure Luka and Kyrie have it. But hey, why not? Let's pick against them. Let's look at that money line. The Mavericks plus 216 on the money line. Let's pick them and have some fun. Give yourself a head start today with promo code 1010XL. Play with house money and use promo code 1010XL to claim a limited time bonus when you sign up and make that first deposit. But anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here for John's Auto. They've been a staple in Jacksonville going all the way back to 1985. At John's Auto, they service all makes, all models, cars, trucks, diesel, you name it, they do it. Whether it's routine maintenance or a complete engine overhaul. Call John's Auto on Arlington Road. That's 904-743-3857 or go to johnsautomotivejacks.com.
Save money while beautifying your home with Renewal by Andersen. With energy-efficient, custom-built replacement windows and doors. Their exclusive Fibrex product is chic, tough, easy to maintain, and twice as strong as vinyl. Right now, buy one window or patio door and get one 40% off. Plus, no money down, no payments, and no interest for 1 year. But restrictions apply. Renewal by Andersen, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit rbafla.com for details.
License number CGC 1527613.
An ACL tear can be a devastating injury with prolonged pain and rehabilitation. Hi, I'm Dr. George Bari. I'm a sports medicine orthopedic surgeon who grew up right here in Jacksonville and then went on to train with the world-renowned Dr. James Andrews. At Bari Orthopedics, we use the most current techniques to get you back in the field with less pain and quicker rehabilitation. We treat all types of sports injuries with the newest techniques available. Please call us for consultation or visit bariorthopedics.com.
Find out more at bariorthopedics.com. That's BAHRI orthopedics.com.
International soccer returns this summer. Don't miss your chance to see teams from the biggest league in the world in Jacksonville as they compete for the Stateside Cup. Be there when Premier League clubs Wolves and West Ham take the pitch July 27th at Everbank Stadium, home of the Jaguars. With the series trophy on the line, competition will be fierce. Tickets on sale now for as low as $35 at statesidecup.com.
On the field, he brought the boom.
I'll always be a linebacker at heart.
He brings that attitude to the microphone.
I'm Jaguars Today's middle linebacker, Kyle McMahon.
Friday from 10 to noon. Brought to you by Renewal by Andersen Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Arrested? Got traffic tickets? DUI? License problems? Gun charges? Drug charges? If you've been charged with any crime, call me, criminal defense attorney Malcolm Anthony, at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW.
Did you know Duck Duck Rooter is the area's go-to plumber? A 5-star Google-rated company, Duck Duck Rooter can take care of all of your plumbing repairs and upgrades. Need to switch from septic over to city sewer? Call the Duck. How about water heater repairs and replacement? You're just a duck away, or call away, for Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6760.
saying goes, the grass is greener on the other side. Well, that is actually true if your neighbor installed artificial turf. Lauren Brooks here from my friends at Sunshine Turf, a family-owned local company that will take your backyard dreams and turn them into a reality. Caleb can design anything from putting greens to pet runs, and if you have a pool, you'll definitely love maintenance-free turf around it. Visit sunshineturf.info to get a free quote today. Sunshine Turf. That's sunshineturf.info.
Hey Beaches area, great news for your next party. You can now buy Mystic Cornhole Company boards in stock at the Seaside Shops on 4th Avenue in Jacks Beach, or as always, at mysticcornhole.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
Well, I don't know if other Gator fans are as nervous as I am right now, but the fact that there is a game against NC State that comes up first pitch in 10 minutes, very soon is, I'm incredibly nervous. I've been nervous since probably I woke up this morning.
Lauren sat down here at the 1010XL studios and she said, "I'm nervous." And I looked at her and I'm like, "It's a Monday. Like,
it's just Noah.
We've got to, it's literally just Noah, and Allison. I mean, they're cool. They're two of my favorite people, but come on now." And then she's like, "No, there's a game at 2. I'm not
huge game.
I'm not so nervous, but maybe that's because we mapped out during our promo meeting this morning, if Florida continues to win, how many more games there potentially could be. So you could have a lot of nerves, Lauren.
That's correct.
Yeah, my takeaway is I can't believe this many people have this revisionist history that they always liked Bryson. We got a lot of feedback on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, which we appreciate you, Heel Again Nation, as always. But the number of people who say, "I never hated Bryson, I just didn't like how Brooks treated him." Y'all couldn't stand Bryson. Come on now. And here we are. I don't know if I like him or not. Even after our delightful debate to begin today's program, I still don't know how I feel about Bryson. But I do know he is a lightning rod, much like the two ladies we will talk about tomorrow, I should say, and Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.
Yeah, mine I'm going to go to a little bit of what we were talking about with Noah and the Big Ten. I think that it's just going to be such a fun conference to watch this season with obviously the additions, plus the playoff expansion. The teams coming off last year, I know people are talking about Washington probably. They've kind of had a reboot a little bit, but Oregon's still coming out strong. Obviously, the way that Ohio State spent this offseason and that storyline with them in Michigan and Ryan Day is going to be fascinating to watch throughout the season. I'm super excited about Big Ten football this year, so I think that's part of what makes college football so much fun. And I know there's the people out there that are like, college football is way more fun than the NFL. I'm an NFL girl, but these storylines are what keep drawing me back to college football.
Yeah, it's fascinating too because the NBC forever was synonymous with Notre Dame only, but now the addition of Big Ten, and I'm sure if you asked someone who doesn't pay that close of attention, what conference is Notre Dame in? Someone might be like,
Big Ten,
maybe the Big Ten. I don't know.
ACC,
That's where they're closest to. Obviously, an independent. By the way, I told y'all I was gonna do yoga on Friday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What I did not know is that it was hot yoga.
Oh yeah.
And so there were weights involved, it wasn't all the stretching, so that was good. But I've never done something where you go in a room without air conditioning and work out, and it was very intense. My friend who's the teacher did a fantastic job. I loved it.
Yeah.
But I also thought I was going to die at different moments because, it's so hot in there. And the class was completely sold out. Her playlist was kick butt because it was all country. It was great. But, I was like, I've never done this before.
I mean, that's just like working out outside right now.
Correct. And I was like, I'm so glad I'm going inside to do this. By the way, the Jumbo Shrimp went 3-3 at home last week versus the Indianapolis Indians. They are now settling in for a 6-game road series up in Memphis. The first pitch will begin at 1:05 tomorrow. And reminder, next Wednesday is when 1010XL will be at the Jumbo Shrimp game. That's going to do it for us. Good luck to all you Gators fans out there and these college
deep
World Series
breaths.
games.
Deep breaths, unclench your jaw, Lauren.
They've been riveting every single game, it seems. Keep it right here, of course, for XL Primetime as well. For Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow.